Good afternoon, and thank you for Internet Society Hong Kong for having us NTT here to talk about IPv6 again. Sorry. We've been supporting this kind of activity with isoc for a couple of years now, and in the past, we don't see that many people. Now, I'm very happy today. Actually, we see a lot of people. There's no empty chair here. Basically, people are getting more excited about V6 now. So a very quick introduction of NTT. We are one of the world's biggest telecom service provider. We have a lot of brand name, and Docomo being probably one of quite famous one doing the mobile. And as the previous speaker mentioned, Docomo is also deploying a lot of V6 solution on LTE using on this brand name. And we have NTT East and West doing the domestic service on both, of course, V6 and V4. And for us, I'm coming from NTT Communications. We are doing the international services and ICT solutions. And our operating arm in Hong Kong, Hong Kong Net as well, we have been doing the IPv6 for a long time. This is a quick overview of what we have been doing in the past. From 2001, we have launched the world's first commercial IPv6 backbone. And 2004, we have enabled basically our whole global backbone network to be V6, V4 dual stack ready. And we have been named, this has been named the best new service by one of the Telecom Award. And with this backbone service, we have supported a lot of events locally in Hong Kong. In 2008, we teamed up with Hong Kong IX to provide trial services to ISPs connecting to Hong Kong IX with a kind of free of charge trial connecting with the V6 backbone. In 2010, we have ourselves have launched the V6 ready IPVPN service. This is a private WAN network service connecting to our global network. So not just on the internet side, but on the enterprise network side, we're doing the V6 deployment as well. And last year, we supported the Apricot APAN event in Hong Kong. We also support them with our IPv6 backbone. And this year, the IPv6 in Action website, we are one of the network provider. We are providing the dual stack connectivity for this website, basically. So we hope all of you can go up there and take a look and maybe download that consumer guide as well. So this is our backbone. We basically have been providing the V6 and V4 dual stack service for many years. This is the easy part. So today, I'm going to talk a little bit on V6, Cloud, and Asia, and how this all goes together. I think the previous speakers have already mentioned the running out of IP addresses. I think this problem is particularly serious for us sitting here in Asia. There's two reasons. Number one is we have 60% of the world's population, and we grow very fast. And secondly, we are the one to actually first run out of addresses. And in fact, it's not really shared very fairly. And in terms of IPv4 addresses per person, we get much less than the rest of the world. So this is the chart again, in case you missed it in the past. The line that really dropped to the bottom last year is us in Asia. So the rest of the world is running out of addresses, but they still have some in their pocket. We don't. So we really should be very worried about IPv4 exhaustion. And if other people in other regions are worried, we should worry even more. And again, on the sharing of IPv4 addresses by country, if you look at it in the Western society economies like US or in the Europe, they generally have more IP addresses per person. For example, in the US, they have almost 5. In the UK, they have 2. And this is number one. And if you look closer to the number of internet users versus their population, they have developed for a long time, and they generally have over 80 to 90% of their population already on the internet. The situation is quite the opposite for us in Asia. If you look at the bottom, highlighted area, most of the country, we only have less than 1. When we say less than 1, it's like a quarter, 0.24, and some of it is like less than 0.1 or 0.01 IP addresses per person. That's really bad. I mean, and you look at this country, the number of internet users is much less than half. They're talking about some of them is probably just 10, 20% of the population is on the internet. So there is a huge area they need to grow, but we don't have any addresses. So this is really bad, and we really, really need to do that transition now. This is what's happening for IPv6 distribution in Asia. I get the stats from APNIC website. It's growing, okay, but comparing to the other region, we are not particularly doing very aggressively. Even Europe and in Southern America, they're doing much better than we do. And I think we can do better than that. And for us in Asia, this is a couple of the economies that have been doing IPv6 deployments. And for us in Hong Kong, again, we are not particularly doing very aggressive job. We have many other economies doing much better than us. So this is another area I think we think Hong Kong can do much better than what we have right now. We talk about like if we don't move to V4, if we don't move to V6, we stick with V4 for a while longer with NET. So we already talked about IP addresses will become more expensive, and there will be we will actually run out of addresses. Even if they're expensive, you need somebody to have it to buy from them. So very likely we have to live with NET for a while by sharing the IP addresses among other users. So what's going to happen is carriers or ISP is going to deploy this kind of carrier-grade nets or large-scale nets, so that they basically give you a private IP address instead of public one, because we run out of addresses. So this is going to work for a while, but it's not going to make things any easier. There's two problems. Number one is, of course, if you don't have a public address, it's very difficult for you to do real peer-to-peer direct communication among hosts. And secondly is, even if you do NET, NET has many of its limitations. NET right now, especially carrier-grade NET, is not cheap, it's expensive. And if we base on like sharing the port address per section, basically there's a limitation on how many sections you can share per address. And with the recent web technology development, one website actually uses many sections, can use up to hundreds of sections per page. So if you rely on this kind of technology, you run into limitations and performance will degrade. So we in NTT also believe there are many short-term solutions, but ultimately the growth of internet will be limited because of this shortage of V4 addresses, and the real answer is IPv6. The question is how? Well, for us, we need to figure it out, because we are not just scientists sitting there. We need to sell things, right? So we need to figure it out before people buy from us. Cloud. So this is something that everybody is talking in the industry. Talk a little bit on cloud, and it's Asia again. Cloud market is growing very fast in Asia, if you don't know. Again, because Asia is accelerating the growth than other regions, and we have a great number of economies here, both developed and developing. And these economies, all of them have different, many of them have a lot of small and medium business who grow very quickly. And in China alone, there is almost over 40 million this kind of small and medium businesses in their country. Many of these small SMBs basically have a common characteristic, is that they would rely a lot on the internet to do their business, but at the same time, they don't have a lot of resources on IT skills or resources on equipment or experience on technology. They would have less budget in handling very complex IT environments. So to them, it's not that they don't want to deploy V6, but they don't know when is the right time for them to do it. So cloud comes to the picture. In Asia, half of the, according to certain research paper, half of the organization in Asia-Pac is considering and planning to use cloud initiatives, from 22% in 2009 up to 45%, almost half of them in 2012. And the growth is going to be huge, almost 40% per year till 2014. And basically, cloud gives a lot of advantage for especially this kind of SMBs in terms of scalability, in terms of on-demand resources, access, in terms of cost saving. These are very important terms for you to sell an idea to your management to get a budget to make it work. Still, some people would doubt about cloud. Cloud, putting all my things on the internet, on an open internet, on an insecure internet, on a shared infrastructure, putting my data in some unknown data center, which, is kind of unsafe, right? I don't have any control, which is wrong. Cloud has been evolving a lot these years for enterprise. There are many different models for cloud. They provide SLAs. Cloud providers provide SLA for end customers. They provide mixture of models where they allow you to put dedicated infrastructure or dedicated network if you want to integrate that with your cloud platform. And some of them allow you to specify the data center location where you want your data to be hosted. And in fact, many of the companies that shows a lot of concern in security actually deploy clouds in one way or the other. We list out some of the industries from the finance and banking and finance industry, where they have been deploying clouds, whether they're using it or they're providing services on cloud or they're providing testing facilities on cloud. One way or the other, it can be used even with this kind of business where security is a great concern. There are also worries about cloud deployment where if your company is running an IT environment where there is a lot of legacy device that cannot be cloud, we don't know how to do cloud, and cloud would actually make things more costly. This is again a myth. Like I said, the cloud has already evolved for enterprise business, and there are models allowing the enterprise to integrate dedicated devices into a cloud platform so that you can move and migrate your applications one at a time. So cloud on IPv6. It seems like this is a good match. When you want to deploy something, you can tell your management this is going to give you a lower cost on investment and resources. You have a very fast deployment mechanism. You can do it on demand, and it's very easy to manage. These are all the words you need to convince your management to go on to do something, not because the technology requires you to do it, but there are benefits for you to do it. And we believe this is a perfect marriage, IPv6 and cloud, so that you can start your IPv6 deployment on cloud. So again, why cloud on IPv6? We believe that there's a few advantages on the cloud, which you can basically use it on your IPv6 migration plan. Number one is the flexible commercial model. Cost is not a big problem for you if you want to run cloud. There are many different commercial plans, monthly plans, or pay-as-you-go plans, different models for you to efficiently go up with the cloud, with the IPv6 testing environment. And that kind of environment can be used on demand. You fire it up on demand and you turn it off when you after you use it, which is very good for testing and deploying something that you're not sure how you're going to use it, especially like IPv6 and any other stuff. So V6 is one of the elements that you can actually make use of this advantage. And V6 ready services, you can put it on this cloud platform to do testing. And because the cloud is very easy to deploy, the service is very easy to deploy, so you can basically set up your test beds and put your applications on cloud providers, setting up test servers to see if your application actually works and derive your application from that kind of test servers. You can set up test clients even to see how the V6 clients actually work with the V6 server and see how things interact to each other. And then you want to mix things together and see how V4 and V6 actually works together, whether they work well or anything broke, you can fix it. And when everything is ready, you host it on the internet with your cloud provider. And then with all this, your engineer will have a platform to work on something with V6 to gain real experience. So again, flexible commercial models, fast deployment, and easy management. This is easy deployment, as in most of the cloud provider would give you an online portal to control and monitor your V6 environment in clicks. So if you're worried about technical expertise, this would help. So after all this, basically, you can streamline, or basically you can prioritize your application, which one you want to put on V6 first. Once you have that done, to have it done, you don't need to worry about all your platforms like hardware or OS or system, how each one work with each other. You basically can rely on the cloud provider to make sure it works. And then you guys can work on your own application for your core business. This is the area we think why cloud can help greatly on for IPv6 deployment. And we believe that cloud providers should actually join the IPv6 launch day, join the IPv6 launch to have IPv6 ready infrastructure and platforms or applications as a service, including the connectivity, all the devices, and ongoing supports, including monitoring and operation supports, and other integration of V6 services to aid the enterprise migration of V6. So you can look at what elements you actually need to migrate to V6. Usually, cloud providers would give you all the infrastructures you need, including the OS, internet, firewalls, load balancers, and they will have supports for you to create some common services like web or mail or DNS. So these are the things to relieve your engineering forces on the technology and concentrate on your own business. So these are the things you should be worrying if you want to transit to V6, including the hardware platform, including the systems and the environment and application and contents. We hope that if the cloud service providers can help you do it, then you're relieved from it and you can just concentrate on your user applications. And you can sell this idea to your management and actually get it done and migrate things to V6. So at the end, you still need to do it. This is your homework. Going back from this event is to formulate your IPv6 strategy with cloud. So you want to evaluate what kind of provider is ready in the market, whether they can help you with your business, especially in Asia, and whether they have an IPv6 ready roadmap on their services. You need to plan your own IT environment, what works on cloud, what you want to put into V6, and what is the architecture you want to move, and define the timeline and roadmap for your migration. From that, you basically can work out hybrid solutions, move some of the applications that you feel like is very important to be put on V6, especially those web or public internet-facing services. You can put them on the web put them on the cloud service on IPv6 first, and or basically run your test platform on this kind of cloud platform to see if it works on a partial migration basis. When everything works, basically we want you to look at this not just as a web, not just as a migration to V4, but create new native V6 applications out of these platforms that is fully native V6, and migrate everything onto cloud and IPv6 and get all the benefits for you as running a business. Some of your components may not actually work on V6 or may not work on cloud. So these are things you need to really consider early, whether they need to be re-architect or re-implement on cloud. So in conclusion, I think it's come to a time that you need to do it. Internet, IPv6 used to be just running by big carriers like us on the backbone, but now with the cloud evolution, moving on to IPv6 using cloud with lower cost and higher flexibility is possible. So with more cloud service provider like what we're trying to do, support IPv6, you guys in the enterprise market will have a new and simpler way to move to an IPv6 ready environment for your internet applications. And together with the launch today, IPv6 Launch, with all the providers worldwide and web services providers worldwide, internet will be having more services, more traffic running on IPv6. And those with IPv6 will be left behind with a problem. So act now. Thank you again for having us here, and congratulations to the IPv6 launch. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fung.